name's Don.
And I'm Peter.
And we are two plebs talking about... California.
This week in the DPRC.
Sure enough. Oh, California. You will never disappoint me. Well, that might not be the right word. But they never leave us hanging.
Yes, they never leave us hanging. Because it's sheer disappointment that we talk about every Thursday.
That's true.
So.
But, you know, thanks for the job security.
Yes.
Which evidently is the only time you're providing it. So, on that subject of them and the lack of job security about anything, California put in a $15 an hour minimum wage law 2 years ago now, basically.
Yeah. And it's been, it's a $1 a year increase.
Yeah, basically. And for some reason, someone thought it would be a good idea to go back and look at how that was going.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Which, usually bad for things like minimum wage increases because they always go terribly, like every right-wing economist says that they will.
Right.
So, you know, Forbes, of all people who have suddenly become invested in this sort of socialista bullshit that's running around, went back and...
Well, they keep the ratings up.
Yeah, well, that's a different problem, and one that Forbes will have shortly. But anyway, so they decided to go back and take a look and see how California's minimum wage was working out.
Is California burning in a fire? Oh, wait.
Ooh.
I shouldn't be using that joke. Because, yes, it literally is.
Yeah.
But it's not because of minimum wage. Fires didn't sprout because people are making more money.
No, fire sprouted because even California wants California to die in a fire.
Pretty much.
Anyway, so they went back and they said, well, look, how are you doing in comparison to the rest of the nation? Is basically what they were looking at. And the breakdown here comes down something like bad.
Well, come on, don't sugarcoat it for me now.
Right. I'll try not to hold back. Because, unsurprisingly, when Sacramento looks at San Francisco and Los Angeles and says, well, minimum wage needs to be $15 an hour because if you live in one of these two places, you need $15 an hour at minimum just to
afford
get by.
A studio apartment.
Right. Well, not in Frisco, that's for sure.
Yeah, you need more than $15 an hour to afford a studio apartment.
Right, your six-figure income to live in a shack that is San Francisco. But still, somehow, $15 an hour was a relevant line. Definitely not because of that whole political movement about Fight for 15.
No.
Definitely some other
Definitely not it.
So, they went out and they said, well, we're going to do it then. And it's a slow roll in, and as I've pointed out numerous times, that happens because people don't want to put up with the political consequences of their decisions.
Right.
And if you had gone $15 an hour, you would see the political consequences of your decision in your term.
Yes, you would.
And...
not on your way out.
Well, so he'll be gone, right? Because this is what, Moonbeam, Jerry Brown?
Yep.
That signed this thing. And so
Newsom
will be governor by the time that this is done.
Yeah, by the time it's fully implemented, it'll be Newsom's baby.
And he'll have to defend the situation, which he will do by saying he's a socialist, and that's a good thing.
Right.
Because that's what he's going to do.
Ooh, this is good. This is our plan.
And so Forbes took a little bit of a look at what California looks like outside of San Francisco and Los Angeles, which in and of itself is rare because, let's face it, it's California. This entire place is on the beach. If you live here, you own 71 surfboards. You don't own a gun.
You're 20 minutes from the beach.
Right. And you are covered in patchouli oil. And this is basically everyone's view of California that is not a California.
Right. Their view of California is San Francisco and Los Angeles.
Right.
Maybe San Jose.
Right. Maybe this one time you heard about another city somewhere. Probably because you found beer that was brewed there. But anyway, that's it. That's the only places or reasons. Except that Forbes went, well, so when you look at the rural towns, this is not a good thing, right? The cost of living there is not that high. The amount of money that is available there is not that high. You can't just go there and go, everyone $15 an hour, and not have it destroy lots of local economies.
Yeah.
Which, shocking, really. No, not really. But look, they're not wrong, right? If you have a shitty little town in the middle of Northern California somewhere, and the only reason you're there is some plant that pays $12 an hour, which is not at all rare in this state.
Well, it's not all around. It's not all around rare for anywhere. I mean, look at through American history. There are old towns that turn into ghost towns overnight because the mine closed.
Right. And so
no, this is not an isolated or rare incident anywhere in the country.
And so when you go, well, now you have to pay $15 an hour. Those people still have to make money somewhere, or those things close.
Right.
And so that's what's happening. Is not so much that they're closing yet, but they're not hiring new people. Now, this is a very, very bad sign. Because if you're not hiring new people, when people leave, there's not a lot that you could be doing except moving towards shutting the door.
Right.
And equally speaking, there has become a lot of, well, we're just, we'll work you overtime because it's cheaper than hiring a new person in California, which in and of itself is ridiculous. And as this minimum wage goes up, it will become more expensive.
Right. And yeah, I mean, I've had those types of jobs.
Yeah.
Instead of putting in another shift, we're gonna work y'all 12-hour shifts.
Yeah.
4 to 5 days a week.
Or 6 or 7.
Or 6 or 7 or whatever we gotta do because it is cheaper than hiring another person.
Right.
The work we need to get done gets done, and we don't care if you have no quality of life afterwards.
Yeah, well, and nor should they, right? So this is a thing that always kills me about business. They don't care about me. Well, should they? I mean, are you like going in there and donating your time because you really care that the business survives? Are you being like, look, it would probably be better for the profit margin if like you just didn't pay me today? Well, what? You don't care about the business? No, nobody cares. This is the point. You go there because you get paid. They employ you because you make money for them.
Right.
That's how it works. And yet, this is the problem that our socialista $15 an hour is going to fix, right?
Right.
Even though, when you look at California's increase in jobs, specifically in any of your blue-collar sector, it's still going up, but it's going up at less than half the rate of the rest of the country.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, there are still new jobs, but if you think 800 jobs, which is the cited number, is good for a state of 40 million people, that's a bad sign.
There's more than 800 people graduating from college or be high school per year who
Per
are
county.
Per county who are looking for all those jobs.
Mm-hmm. And look, those are spread all over the state.
You're not keeping up a population growth,
right? And look, even if we ignore that for a moment, you end up with this problem where what you're doing is you're ensuring that nobody is going to be able to get a job, right? Because this is the same problem it always is. I have to pay this person $15 an hour.
Yep.
Who is worth $15 an hour? Because
the best of the best,
right? And we knew that here 5 years ago when $15 an hour would get you by in most of this state.
Mm-hmm.
But we keep jacking up the minimum wage, and then crazy shit happens, and we go, well, those are unrelated.
Right.
Furthermore, by the way, the thing that seems to have really gotten this pushed through is an interesting take by Forbes, which is to say that all of the unions in California, or at least the government unions, have their wages based on minimum wage, right? Some percentage of minimum wage, which is to say that hundreds of percents of minimum wage, right? So if you're the guy that works for Caltrans that digs ditches, you get paid 200% of minimum wage. And so these people said, well, we can't really give anybody raises unless we raise minimum wage. And so...
Yes, you can. You just use a different model.
Well, So that would be one way of doing it, but that would be difficult to fight for, right? And if, on the other hand, because then you'd have to go to people and go like, well, we're just going to tell California to pay people $30 an hour to dig ditches, and then your guy working at 7-Eleven goes, what?
The guy at 7-Eleven already goes, what? When he hears that the guy who's holding the little sign, slow or stop, gets paid $25 an hour.
Right. Well, so he says these things, but you kind of have to point that out, right? If you say, well, we're going to go negotiate with the state and to just increase the percentage, right? Or just flat out increase the wage. If you say, dear guy at 7-Eleven, I'm trying to get you a raise, then you don't have to point that out.
No.
And so they didn't. And, for that matter, the guy at 7-Eleven goes, yeah, I want a raise.
Of course I want a raise. Of course I, the employee, want more money.
Mm-hmm.
And I have failed to negotiate a wage that I would prefer to receive with my employer. Right. So by all means, regulate him to have to.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Because, fuck you, pay me. That's what it comes down to, right?
Pretty much.
And, look, that is a quote straight from Goodfellas, right? You know? There's a reason I use it.
Don, that movie's too old.
I'm sure that it is. Go watch it anyway.
It's a great movie.
And it is. So, this premise that we were going to raise minimum wage and everything was going to work out has caused a few other small problems, right? Yeah. Which is to say that seemingly everyone with small businesses or who is worth a shit but is not, six-figure income skilled is leaving this state.
Yeah.
Which, shocking, really.
Really, yeah.
I mean, if I can stay here and get paid $15 an hour, or move to rural Tennessee and get paid $10 an hour, well, I mean, it sounds obvious. You get paid more money here. Well, rent in rural Tennessee is about a fifth of what it is here. Right. So is the cost of everything else.
Right. The cost of living there is about, well, I'd say 40% of what it is here.
If that, right?
Right. So, taking a 1/3 pay cut, or 33% pay cut,
for a 50%...
For a 50 to 60% reduction in cost of living, it's worth it.
Right. And look, people are figuring it out. They didn't even need us to tell them.
No.
On that subject, by the way.
But however, they have all those states saying, no, go back to fucking California, we don't want you here. Well, which is a different matter.
Yeah,
and we've talked about on this show before.
Take your progressive politics and go back to California.
Right.
Which, by the way, if you're just going to go progressive up the nation, then, okay, fine, rest of America, build the wall is all I'm saying.
Is that the plan of California, to make it so hard to live here that the progressive ideas get spread to the rest of the states?
No, they're not thinking that far ahead. That's way too much credit.
Okay.
But anyway, on the subject of how much we're destroying people's cost of living, apparently we have destroyed the California dream. Now, importantly, before we go any further, I didn't know there was a California dream.
Yeah, there was. It's come to California, dig for gold, or get on the silver screen.
Well,
and become rich.
So
those were the California dreams.
The California dream of come here and dig for gold stopped being a thing about 100 years ago.
Yes, I would agree.
Give or take.
Yes, but it was.
Sure. I don't think anyone came here that is currently alive for that.
But now it's come to California and get either A, on the silver screen, or B, on a concert block.
Sure.
You know, that's been the California dream for a long time. Sure. And back to that, it all happens in L.A.
Yeah. Hollywood, sure. You know, that's the California dream has now come to Hollywood and become a movie star. Now, if we want to go with that as the California dream, I might accept that as an accurate assessment. But,
well, considering Hollywood is trying to move out of the state, yes, we're destroying the California dream.
Well, Hollywood, that's a way different subject. Anyway, so the premise of what we're talking about here is not so much that, right? They seem to be describing the American dream, right? Own a house, 2.5 kids,
right.
White picket fence.
A new car every 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, this sort of thing. The very 80s and 90s view of the American dream.
The standard view of the lower to middle class of the 70s and 80s, I would say.
I don't even think the 70s is really applicable here, though. Maybe. But,
sorry, I'm thinking Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah, well, a little earlier than that. But even then, I would suggest the American dream still had some semblance of what it started out as, which is to say not a white picket fence, 2.3 kids or 2.5 or whatever the hell you count a dog as. And look, that seems to be what they're describing as the California dream, regardless, right? And so the idea is that as progressive as we are, somehow or another, we can't manage to get that for people here in the state of California.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Now, I'm right there with you. I have to wonder if it's because we're so progressive, which, by the way, the article in question does not address.
Of course not.
Even though they go out of their way to go, Texas is doing better on all of these things that we metric than we are here in California, even though we're a progressive superhero haven and they're Texas.
Right.
And it is unbelievable to me that this state continues on this road, and yet here we are, right? Because, well, but like, the cost of living here is so expensive, and gas is like $3.62 a gallon, and the rest of the nation it's like $2.15, and I don't understand. The Mexicans, they're like 60% poor, and that's not true anywhere else, and I just don't understand.
Well, for the gas, it's because we require certain additives to be put into specifically our gas due to air quality regulations, and the rest of the nation does not.
Well, that's a big part of it, but we also heavily gas tax.
And then there's the gas tax.
So, I mean,
between the two of them, yeah, we pay a lot more in gas than the rest of the country.
Well, back to that minimum wage discussion of a second ago, as much as it is probably 1/10 of a cent per gallon at absolute most, as you increase minimum wage of the cashier jockey that is selling your gasoline, well, tick, it's got to go up a little.
Gas has got to go up some more just to cover the expense of employees.
You got it. And the more we make all this shit cost, the higher the cost of living is.
Right.
And this is totally unrelated for some reason.
Now, some people will argue that employees are not an expense.
Oh, yeah, they are.
I'm like,
those people are idiots.
Well, no, because those are the people that are making them the money.
No, they're not.
But they're the ones that you frontward face and do the transactions with. They're the ones making the money.
Really? So every single customer that walks in that store, they're like, notice you got a Coke. Would you like some Funyuns with that Coke? No, they're not.
Right.
And
they're handling the transaction. That's it.
Right. In fact, if you really think that it's employees that are making you the money, go look at McDonald's and how many iPads they're putting in. 4 per store. To get rid of employees who are not making the money.
Right.
So,
because, yes, I recently had to go into the McDonald's, and yes, I got to talk to the employee who showed me how to use the kiosk.
Mm-hmm. Look at that.
Just to go, I'm like, okay, with all the things and the peculiarities of custom ordering that you're supposed to be able to do, I'm like, okay, here's the order. Now, where's the actual person who's at the cash register? Because there's an option here that we wanted that you don't have on the kiosk.
Right. And there it is, right? But this is continuously, this idea that you're a cashier jockey and therefore you're the most important part of the business is fucking stupid. And always has been, right? And very socialist. But I repeat myself.
No, I would say they are an equally important
Not
part.
even close.
No.
Not even kidding.
No.
In fact, there's a good reason you get paid minimum wage to be a cashier jockey and not minimum wage to own a gas station.
Oh. Yeah, it's like all those self-serve checkouts didn't take off pretty good.
Well, they're working on it, right? I mean, when was the last time that you went to a gas pump that you weren't in Oregon where someone pumped your gas for you?
Well, I've never been to Oregon.
Yeah. Well, they're the only place left, and I think they either have gotten rid of it or in the process or something, right?
Well, I'll have to go look, because last time, because it's been many years ago, there was still one location in our area.
Yeah, I don't think they're there anymore. But regardless.
Right.
Completely beyond the realm of irrelevant.
Right.
So we have somehow or another made this the most, and this is hilarious, by the stats that they like to go to, by this equality of outcome bullshit, we have made this the most racist state in the union. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because...
How so?
There are more poor black people than demographics suggest there should be.
Oh.
There are more poor Mexicans than demographics suggest there should be.
Oh.
Schools in ethnic minority neighborhoods are worse than schools in non-ethnic minority neighborhoods by orders of magnitude.
Oh.
1 in 5 black people is not able to do math fluently in the state of California.
Oh, wow.
We are the most racist state in the nation, according to all of the same progressive douchebags who went, we should be progressive.
We should be progressive, but all of the quote-unquote minorities that we tried to get the votes in are the people who receive the least amount of services and support.
Oh, no. No. They're still getting the money, right?
Right.
Because this money is still going to schools. It's still going to all of these community works programs.
No, obviously it's going to the white schools and not the minority schools.
That is the only explanation.
Well, if we're going to go with the racist slant...
Well, let me not let facts get in the way, but that's not how it works.
Right.
And so, it is amazing that, like, this article is kind of a surreal read in this sense, because it really is like, we just don't understand how this could be true. We do all of these things, and California's roads, which used to be the envy of the world, are now no longer the envy of the world. They're crap too, and we don't get it.
You don't get it. You start going for all the socialist programs, and all the right-wing people are saying, if you do this, you're going to destroy your state. And when your state starts becoming a shithole, you don't understand how.
And that's the end of our show for the day.
That's right. It's taco time.
However, before we go, we'd appreciate it if you shared us around.
You can find us on YouTube,
BitChute,
Facebook,
Twitter,
Patreon,
and Maker Support.
Thanks for stopping by.